What's going on, everybody? I hope you're having an amazing day as always. I'm here to reflect and talk about the truth about the Jay-Z CNN interview. I sat on it all day. I saw what everybody was saying. You know, all of social media was in an uproar. Twitter was in an uproar. Everyone was complaining, blah, blah, blah. Jay-Z said this, Jay-Z said that. He was on Van Jones, and I just watched the whole interview, and I have something to say that's going to probably make both sides of the political debate mad. It's going to make the conservatives mad who are mad at Jay-Z, and I'm sure it'll probably make the left mad as well. But this interview actually made me an even bigger fan of Jay-Z. He's my favorite, if not one of my favorite hip-hop artists of all time. And this interview with Van Jones made me an even bigger fan of Jay-Z. And just wait till you hear why. We're going to wait about 20 more seconds for people to get into the live stream. As always, you can follow me on Instagram at DreamRare. DreamRare. That's also the name of my website that has shirts and hats, dreamrare.com. My Twitter is Legendary Energy. At Legendary Energy is my Twitter. And just let's wait about 10-15 more seconds for people to get in. Because I heard the hoopla, I heard the outrage. If people are unfamiliar, Jay-Z, a.k.a. Sean Carter, hip-hop rapper, mogul, husband of Jay-Z, went on CNN and talked to Van Jones. It's everywhere. You know, the headlines were saying, Jay-Z said that Donald Trump's a superbug and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But if you watch the interview, if you actually watch the interview like I just did, I was just blown away because, once again, as always, aloha to someone who said aloha. The headlines are lying. Both sides are kind of exaggerating and whatnot, and there's a lot of truth and wisdom and knowledge in what Jay-Z said. And I liked it. I really liked what he said and how he responded. I don't think that the outrage from the right and the conservatives is true, and I certainly don't think the framing of the liberal media of how they framed it is true. So I'm going to start right at the beginning of the interview. As you know, CNN, they're not, in my opinion, they're not a real news network. They're just like a politically slanted, politically biased. They're a PR team for Hillary Clinton. They're a PR team for Barack Obama. CNN, in my unbiased, unobjective, or objective approach, whatever, they're one of the worst news networks on the planet. They lie about almost everything. They bait people in. It's like a complete echo chamber that just tries to lead people back to the political establishment. But they start right off, and Van Jones, who I've complimented a few times for being honest, Van Jones baits, like, they're so obvious. CNN's so obvious. They go, Jay-Z, I really liked your new music video. With Beyonce, the Family Feud interview, my favorite part was when your daughter rewrote the Constitution. I'm not even joking. In this interview, within the first minute, the first thing that Van Jones says is, I like how your daughter rewrote the Constitution. So he's already, this is not Jay-Z's fault. This is not at all Jay-Z's fault. This is CNN's fault. It's who CNN is. They immediately said, oh, we like how you changed the Constitution. They're so blatantly obvious. They're trying to literally change the Constitution of the United States. They don't like conservatives and Republicans for that reason, because Republicans and conservatives, you're not going to hear this at the Grammys, you're not going to hear this from liberal media, but conservatives and Republicans, amongst some traits that they have are bad, you know, in social situations that can be very nasty and hateful and negative. Not all of them. The large majority is not like that. That's why I stand up for them. But at the idea of it, they want smaller taxes, lower federal government, and more power to the people and to the states. And that's a large part of what's in the Constitution. So, of course, CNN, they're like, oh, I like how your daughter changed the Constitution, because they want to change the Constitution, because they want to tax people more. They want federal government to have more money. They don't want the Constitution to exist, because then federal government can have a complete, you know, communist or socialist or fascist takeover. So that right off the bat, that I was like, oh my God, like, I don't understand how people watch CNN and don't understand the whole network is a setup. It's a setup. I always say, even if you don't like Donald Trump, you're getting lied to by CNN. Like, I don't watch fake news just because I don't like somebody. I don't like to be lied to, but so many people are like, oh, I know I'm being lied to. Like, it's not even fair how bad they lie. The second thing I picked up from the Jay-Z interview that's a very, very positive thing that, of course, the media is never going to talk about, because they don't want you to know this stuff. And this is stuff that I talk about every single time. And it's very rare, and I don't see it that often, but I do it all the time. I did it last week. Van Jones starts, you know, after he baited on the Constitution, like, oh, I like how you rewrote the Constitution, Jay-Z's like, whatever. he starts talking about Jay-Z's daughter, and he starts like negatively manifesting stuff into Jay-Z's daughter's life. And I'm a firm believer in manifestation. I'm a firm believer in words. I'm certainly not perfect. I have fun and I say things and whatnot, but like I'm very like superstitious manifestation-wise. I don't like to say certain things. I don't even like to read certain words. I don't like to type certain words. Like I block certain things out of my existence, not to be negative or hateful or, like echo chamber wise, just I really believe in the power of words and manifestation. So Van Jones starts to negatively manifest stuff and that's CNN. They are the negative manifestation network. All they do is negatively manifest some of the worst things into existence. Doesn't matter if you're liberal or conservative. They just spread fear, hate, negativity, violence. They are the negative manifestation mind control network. So they start talking about Jay-Z's daughter. He says, aren't you fearful? Aren't you scared for your life? This and that, blah, blah, blah. Like very, very creepy stuff. I would have said the same thing. And Jay-Z said, whoa. He's like, listen, dude, like I don't even put that stuff out there. He's like, my daughter's going to be safe. My daughter's going to be happy. There's enough love in the world. There's enough wisdom and knowledge. There's enough information that my daughters are going to be happy. And I don't even want to put that out in the world. He stopped Van Jones from this CNN wormhole, negative manifestation. So that was a huge, huge positive. You'll never see that in a headline because the opposite of what these news networks want to do is let you know that you have the power. If you're black, you have the power. If you're white, you have the power. If you're a woman, you have the power. If you're Asian, Indian, Hispanic, whatever, you have the power. These news networks don't want to know, they don't want to let you know how much power you have. They want you to be weak. That's why a lot of their activist movements, they've hijacked activism. I'm a racial activist myself. I'm not Sean King or anything, like standing on the front lines acting like I run the whole operation. I know my place. But, I believe in racial activism. I believe in feminism, like real feminism and real racial activism. But what CNN and the media has done is they've hijacked these things and then they negatively manifest all of these things to people to make the women weak, to make our communities weak. So, everyone's weak and then they're like, oh, let me help you. It's part of their trick. So the second thing that Jay-Z did that was positive is he was like, dude, don't even bring that into my life. I haven't seen a single article written about what Jay-Z said about the manifestation of words. And I thought that was very, very cool of Jay-Z. The third thing, the third psyops of CNN, I'm watching this thing and Jay-Z's being very positive, very, very chill. I love Jay-Z personally. I'm just going to be honest. He's, in my opinion, the most consistent hip-hop artist of all time. And yes, he talks about drugs and, his lifestyle and whatnot, but he's very honest. He talks about art now. He's into art and people make fun of him. He's like, that's what I'm about. He has a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge. I like Jay-Z, just throwing it out there. Even though he campaigned for Hillary Clinton, I thought that was very corny and very weak. But, it's all good. Like, I don't force my political opinions on people. Like, if they don't agree with me, as long as they keep it real in interviews, that's what I care about. So if you really watch the interview unbiasedly and don't just hate Jay-Z because you read the headline, the third thing that the whole thing, CNN just throws stuff at you. They try to leave you in a room of fire, so they trap you. And he says, oh, well, we got to talk about Trump now since I just brought up Trump. And it's like acting like it was natural. And he's like, so Trump called all African countries shithole countries. He's like, how do you feel about that, Jay-Z? First of all, that's the biggest lie of the year. It's hard to pick the biggest lie of the year because every week it's a new big lie with these phonies. But first of all, the report from Trump saying shithole countries, it came from the Washington Post, which is a fraudulent news network that's just like CNN. They're just a deep state operation where they do whatever they can with anonymous sources and people that they already know and friends within deep government that they already have, circle jerking ideas around. They publish it and people just believe it. And then they keep lying on every platform, on Facebook, Twitter, Google, MSNBC, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times. And then people accept it as truth. There is still zero proof that Donald Trump ever even said shithole countries in the first place, and he never said all African countries are shithole countries. It's never happened. At best, he might have said it in in a meeting, talking about specific places, meaning let's fix them. If someone says, "Oh, your neighborhood's a shithole neighborhood," I'll be like, "Yeah, okay. Are you making fun of me and my family and my friends, or are you like saying that so you're gonna fix it and make it better?" Context matter, actions matter more than words, but even at the basis of that argument, they have no proof that he ever even said that. And they certainly have no proof that he said it about all of Africa. It's a total lie. So the question, Jay-Z's just getting bombarded with fake news, CNN indoctrination. And even when he got faced with that question, he didn't really say that much bad stuff. He like was going down this hole of like, he's like, you know what? He's like, yeah, like comments like that are hurtful. I think they're hurtful. Like Jay-Z wasn't like F Trump, F Trump. You could kind of tell, in my opinion, I think he kind of likes Trump or is sympathetic with Trump. You could kind of feel from his energy. Because after he made the Superbug comment, what he said was like, here, it's what I say a lot. Of course, they took it out of context, but I say, at best, I personally, I see the good in Trump. Although he doesn't talk and speak like me, I appreciate Trump for who he is, and I think he's necessary. Just like Jay-Z said in this interview, he said, everything happens for a reason. I believe the same thing. I'm not mad at it. But what he was saying was like, Donald Trump isn't the problem. That's the point of what Jay-Z was saying. He didn't say he's a superbug and he's destroying the whole world. What Jay-Z literally said was like, hey, it didn't start with Donald Trump. He's like, nothing about this is new. He's like, it just, some things don't get bad. And the analogy he used is analogies similar to what I use all the time. They just took it out of context. He said, when you don't address a problem, the problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And he did an analogy of a bug. So he's like, if you don't spray the bugs grow and they get bigger and bigger, and eventually you get to a superbug. And he said, Donald Trump is the superbug. So even in the way he said that, if you listen to the tone and the context of what he said, he wasn't saying Trump is the worst thing ever and the government's great. He was basically like, this is what happens when no one pays attention. You get a Donald Trump. And I totally agree. I mean, why do we have a Donald Trump? It's because no one's been paying attention for 20, 30 years. I say the analogy that Donald Trump's a wrecking ball, just destroying the political establishment. And I love it. So even at his worst statement against Donald Trump, if you take it in context, it's not that bad. It's not a big deal. And then what he said after that, in my opinion, was one of the realest, most revolutionary things. And it's not revolutionary because it's like this crazy thing. It's just because the media and other celebrities are so bad that they can't even accept any sort of like positivity and love. But after that, he followed it with, Donald Trump is a human. He's a human too. He's like, this guy's a human. You could see it, Jay-Z's voice. He's like, dude, you got like, he's thinking to himself, he's like, you guys are psychopaths. Like, all you do is sit here all day, and everyone knows it. Even if they watch CNN and like it, they're like, it is a little bit weird that they just hate on Trump. Of course it is. They don't care about you. They don't care about the black community or the hip-hop community or the inner cities or the outer cities or the rural areas or the Latino communities. They want Donald Trump out of office for their political agenda so they can destroy the Constitution, so they can rewrite laws and just make up stuff, so they can raise taxes, and so they can make federal government bigger. That's why they want Trump out. And Jay-Z actually said that. If you listen to what he said in the interview, he said, Donald Trump is a human too. So after hearing all the outrage from conservatives, they're like saying all this rude stuff about Jay-Z, and that's fine because, you know, I read all the liberal media headlines like Jay-Z says he's a superbug, blah blah blah, and then I watched the interview, and this is why I even have this channel. Most of the time it's gonna fall for where people like and appreciate. Sometimes they're gonna get upset, but guess what? Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite ones to do. So I'm not trying to just be in a corner of people who agree with me. I'm trying to get both sides to see each other because I love all people. But if you actually watch the interview, Jay-Z drops so many gems, just like he does in his music. Of course, you can point out, oh my God, he talked about violence and guns. It's like, I mean, that's what someone could see in his music. But if you actually listen to the message and the music and what he's saying, there's so much wisdom and knowledge that you could pick up. It's the same with this interview. I mean, they took the one slightly negative thing that he said, which wasn't even really a negative thing, and how come the headline wasn't, Jay-Z said Donald Trump was a human? When's the last time that you've heard a celebrity do that? In my opinion, that's revolutionary at this point because every other celebrity is at his head trying to act like he's not human. And then they're attacking other black celebrities when they say he's a human. Dave Chappelle says, let's give him a chance. And Dave Chappelle gets harassed by the media, and now he comes out, saying like, oh, no, never mind. I don't think we should give him a chance. Like they guilted Dave Chappelle into like being a total shill again. And same thing with like Erykah Badu. I mean, she was talking about Hitler, which obviously is going to get people's feathers ruffled and whatnot, and I'm not saying anything about that. But Erykah Badu's message when she was talking about like Hitler and Trump and other people, not that they're anything alike, but she was saying, I look for the good in people. She was like, I just don't, I look for the good in people. And they're like, Erykah Badu is optimistic and thinks people are human beings. It's like a revolutionary statement to say that someone's a human being. So that if you take that clip of it and made that the headline, everyone would be like, wow, Jay-Z really co-signed Trump. Like if I own the CNN, I could make everyone believe that it was a positive message. But they took the one thing slightly out of context and made it seem terrible. But I was just overwhelmed. I wasn't even going to talk about it because I was like, whatever. But when you actually read all the headlines, you read what all the conservatives are getting mad, the Republicans are getting mad, and libertarians are getting mad, whatever. And then, liberal media is like, oh, he's our hero now. If you watch the actual interview, he really doesn't hate that hard. It's all CNN games. That's all they do. They baited him with I like how your daughter rewrote the Constitution in the video. They said that within the first minute. I mean, you have to be a real dummy to be watching CNN and not realize you're getting set up. Like, the whole thing is just a setup. Jay-Z was set up the second one. The second positive thing, like I said, he stopped Van Jones from doing what CNN and MSNBC and even Fox News at times are guilty of doing, which is the negative manifestation. And I see their little games. They negatively manifest all these things into the world. They hate, they spread fear, they spread anxiety, they spread division, and then they sell you a bunch of pharmacy pills on the commercials. I see their games. That's why I barely watch TV. I know what they're doing. Jay-Z knows what they're doing. That's why he stopped him. Van Jones, aren't you afraid of Donald Trump's America and your daughter's going to grow up and get killed? Like, he was on some stuff like that. And Jay-Z's like, whoa. He's like, he stopped Van Jones in his tracks and said, listen, bro, I don't play that, Van Jones. I don't play that, CNN. And he stopped him because positive manifestation is real. Your words and your actions and the things you think into existence are real. So Jay-Z stopped him. Third, he didn't even bite that hard on the shithole countries. What's his name? Van Jones set him up and said, Donald Trump said all African countries are shithole countries, even though he never said that. And Jay-Z didn't even get that mad. He wasn't like, F Donald Trump. He was just like, yeah, he's like, it can be slightly hurtful. But then he said at the end, if you listen to him, he said, Donald Trump is a human being too. He said, Donald Trump's a human. And he was like, any sort of negativity that you hear from Donald Trump, he's like, it comes from a place. He's like, maybe he was hurt sometime too. Maybe he feels a certain way. That's what Jay-Z said. I mean, why? I understand a lot of people that watch my videos, they don't like Jay-Z. A lot of people that watch my videos don't like my raps. I put my raps out online, and first of all, I've been very successful as an underground hip-hop artist. I have millions of downloads, literally millions of downloads. No manager, no label. People listen to my music all over the world. It's why I'm here. I had a year's worth of free stay in Los Angeles, free stay, free rent, free food, because of hip-hop. So without hip-hop, I wouldn't even be in the position I am now. Hip-hop changed my life and saved my life. And I post a hip-hop video, and some people say, anomaly, don't even rap. I don't want to hear it. It's like, okay, I get it. You like Donald Trump. You like Fox News. That's fine. I stand up for Christians. I stand up for conservatives. I really hold it down for America. That's just because I do what I feel is right. But don't come in here hating on my rap music if just because you like my political analysis. That's fine. I get it. You have your opinion. But that's why I'm even allowed to be here is because of hip-hop. I wouldn't be here if hip-hop had not entered my life. So all of this stuff that you get, all of these analysis and me really standing up for people, that doesn't exist without hip-hop. If you don't like it, silencio, okay? You don't have to, I get you don't like it. Maybe you like country. Guess what? I love country too. I like Garth Brooks. I like Rascal Flatts. I'll even listen to the Dixie Chicks. I like country as well, but I'm a hip-hop artist. I rap, and I'm good at it. And a lot of, hip-hop legends and people who really invented the entire genre respect my music, so I don't really care what you think. Same with Jay-Z. I get it. You don't like rap. You don't like hip-hop music. You think he's a terrible person. That's fine. We can agree to disagree. I think he's probably done some really terrible things in his life. I mean, I know he has. He raps about it. But at the same time, this is not me judging Jay-Z's whole life. We could have a different moment for that, or we'll never have a moment for that because I'm not a judge. I don't have a gavel. I'm not here to judge people's entire lives. It's the same as Donald Trump. Same reason I don't want to go back 30 years and look at all the things he does. I want to know what he's doing now. What's he doing for America? And in this interview, I just want to say, even though people were trashing Jay-Z all day, and that's fine, you know, he's a grown man. He's combined with his wife, he's a billionaire. I think he can handle the heat, and he deserves to handle some heat for co-signing Hillary so much. I mean, you know, that type of stuff is lame. But overall, if you listen to this interview, he really doesn't hate on Trump that much. He actually sticks up for Trump more than I've seen any celebrity stick up for Trump ever, but they won't show you that clip. He said Trump's a human. And he's like, his hurt comes from somewhere too. His emotions come from somewhere too. It was all CNN baiting him. It was all Van Jones trying to race bait him and do all this stuff. Jay-Z is an intellectual guy. He has a kid now. He's a little kinder. He's definitely done some things, but man, I love Jay-Z. I wanna meet Jay-Z one day. And I'm really happy. Because I was like, man, it's so hard for me to like not like all these celebrities that I used to like. Like you hear John Legend sing and you're like, man, this guy's great. And then you look at his Twitter, you're like, this dude's an extremist psychopath. You know, I was hoping that Jay-Z didn't go down that rabbit hole because I saw him, you know, do the Hillary Clinton concert, and I was like, okay, he likes Hillary. He's trying to get people to vote for her. It's messed up, but like, you know, he has a right to do that as long as he's not out running his mouth about a bunch of crazy things. But this interview, he really doesn't hate that hard. And check out below this video, like scroll down a little bit, check out the rant from Kanye West. He has a really good concert rant where he tells people what I've been telling people. Mark Zuckerberg lied to you, Google lied to you, Twitter lied to you. You know, I tell people all the time, that's why they're so confused, because everyone's lying. But I'm just being honest. I heard all the negativity, I read all the headlines, I seen all the outrage, I watched the interview, and I was like, this was not that bad at all. It could have been way worse, and even the Superbug comment, it's not a big deal. He was trying to say that Donald Trump is a symptom of a bigger problem that nobody's paying attention to, and that's exactly what it is. Like, the media tries to pitch it like Donald Trump's the big bad enemy, and that's all it is, and it was good before that. Jay-Z literally says the opposite of that. He tells people Donald Trump's not the problem. He's a response to the problem that no one's been paying attention to. And then CNN takes what he said and spins it into something that it's not. That's what they do. That's what they do. They're spin doctors. If you watch them, understand that's what they do. Whether it's for liberal, conservative, whatever, they're spin doctors. They take whatever anyone says, they can make anything negative. You could sit there and say, I like water, and they'll be like, well, Trump's trying to steal the water from the Africans. Jay-Z can be like, hey, Trump's a human being. And they're like, Jay-Z said Trump's a superbug. You see what they did there? Jay-Z said that Trump was a human being. And they made the headline to basically insinuate that Jay-Z said that Trump wasn't a human being. These are sick, disgusting people who are not only trying to negatively manifest stuff into Americans' lives, negatively manifest something into our lives, but they tried to negatively manifest fear and negativity into Jay-Z's daughter's life, and he stopped them in his tracks. That was one of the dopest things I've seen on CNN. He's like, listen, Van Jones, we don't play that game in the Carter household, okay? We don't play that game in that we know what words do. We know what manifestation. We know what the mind does. Don't bring your CNN vibes into my house. He put a block up. I loved it. I thought it was dope. You know, there were certain parts where I was like, but it was 95% CNN baiting Jay-Z, 95%. And you got to remember, Jay-Z voted for Hillary Clinton, so it's like, you know, this guy he could have been a lot meaner, a lot more hateful, a lot more negative. He wasn't any of that. It was all Van Jones. It was all CNN hating, baiting. And Jay-Z said that Trump was a human being. And they literally made the headline the opposite. So, you know, I don't really play it. It doesn't matter to me, conservative, liberal, all that, this and that, whatnot. I don't really care. I just do my thing and call it like I see it. And in general, I think, you know, I always say stuff about the liberal media and this and that. I want to make this very, very clear. I love liberals. I love real liberals. I love liberals who care about diversity of thought, diversity of people, like whatever. Just keep it real, keep it fresh, judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. I like real liberals. So when I call out liberals, you have to understand, if you're a real liberal, I'm not talking to you, okay? Same with the conservatives. When I talk about conservatives or Republicans and say I'm not talking about you. If you're not that type of person, I'm not talking about you. So I love liberals. You have to understand. But fake liberals are running rampant all over. And they're the opposite of liberals. They're the same as a right-wing extremist, if not in some cases worse. and the fake liberals are running around on the media. The fake liberals are taking over the award shows. The fake liberals are taking over the social media. So I'm not hating on liberal mindsets. I love liberal people. I can be in a room with 10,000 liberals and have a great time because they're all good people. I'm just saying the mainstream movement is being manipulated completely. So when I say stuff about liberals, don't get discouraged and stuff. I'm not talking to you if you're a real liberal. And if you are a liberal, it's your duty to stand up against the fake liberals who are ruining everything. And it's the same thing with the conservatives and the right wing and whatnot. The reason that I'm more popular in the right wing is because they actually listen now. And most right wing conservative people have moved to the center. And they're actually more liberal than liberals. That's why I'm so popular. It's not because I'm a right wing conspiracy theorist. It's because conservative people are leveling up and getting smarter and, you know, dropping a lot of their hate and negativity and embracing and listening and learning. So it's like, that's why I'm popular. Of course, there's ignorant people on the right as well. I have to block people every day for saying stupid stuff, borderline racist stuff, borderline nasty stuff that has no oomph to it. It's not like they're saying something, making a point. They're just hating. There's haters on all sides. I see it. It's just, I focus on the big picture. That's why I say these things, but I see it. I just want good people from all sides to come together. A real liberal and a real conservative libertarian, they're not that different. Peace, love, positivity, you know what I'm saying? Show me love, stay off my lawn, don't take my taxes. I mean, it's the same stuff. Just leave us alone and judge people by the content of their character. So just letting you guys know, when I talk bad about the right wing, I'm not talking about you if it doesn't apply to you. And same with liberals. I'm not talking to real liberals. I just don't see that many real liberals. And a lot of the real liberals are like, oh, I get it, but I'm just going to play along and act like it's not happening. Meanwhile, the technocracy of Twitter, Facebook, and Google are like filtering algorithms, you know, pandering to like fake liberal news networks. It's all bad, but let's wrap it up because I'm going to take a shower or something. I don't know, maybe drink a glass of water. I don't know, I'm telling you that. But overall, the Jay-Z interview, I'm calling it out. I haven't seen anyone say this. I've seen all the right wing hating. I've seen all the left wing praising. But in my opinion, both sides are wrong. It's a total nothing burger of an interview. Jay-Z was not that negative. He was not that hateful. The whole thing was a setup from the very beginning. They're like, we love how you changed the Constitution. Ridiculous. And there was a lot of gems. And I talked about it multiple times, so I don't need to repeat it. But many, many gems. Was not that bad. Jay-Z, one of the best hip-hop artists of all time. I hope he'll come around and maybe he'll campaign for Trump in 2020. You know, and the way you get someone like a Jay-Z or someone like a liberal or somebody like that, you don't get their support politically by just yelling at them. And that's something that people do very terribly. Like, of course, the hip-hop community is not going to be right-wing or conservative if the right-wing and conservative just keeps yelling at the hip-hop community, be like, oh my God, you guys are causing all the crime and you guys need to keep the family structure together. It's like, that's not an effective strategy to get somebody to listen to you. Like, of course, is there some oomph to what you're saying? Absolutely. I think there's some truth to what everyone's saying, but it's not an effective strategy. And that's why a lot of people are liberal, to be honest. That's why a lot of musicians are liberal and a lot of celebrities are liberal. Is because conservatives, in a lot of cases, don't know how to talk to liberals to make them understand. So I think we could all do a better job of that. That's definitely what I try to do. And in general, maybe Jay-Z will campaign for Trump in 2020. If we have a conversation, I'll be like, yo, Jay, how much money did you save? He'll be like, you know how Jay-Z does that? He does that and then he'll be like, I saved like 50 million, bro. And I'm like, that's what I'm telling you, Jay. Make America great, bro. Save 50 million. You can do what you want with that. I mean, I don't understand why celebrities don't love him. They're saving hundreds of millions of dollars. So just talk a little kinder. Don't freak out over every single CNN headline. I think that's what's going to get people to understand, because everybody I talk to personally, when I talk to my liberal friends and stuff, minus the extremists who unfortunately run all the social media sites and all the media things, most people are just misled. They're not bad people. They're not terrible people. They don't want like communism to take over. They just are being led by a bunch of phonies who know what they're doing. So it's like, that's the part we got to understand. And listening to Jay-Z, when you listen to him, I mean, you can have your own opinions about him. He didn't sound like somebody who was hateful. He sounded like somebody who kind of knows what's going on. knew he was kind of getting set up and was like, you know, I'm gonna say my piece and drop out. But I mean, I thought it was a total nothing burger that CNN used to say the opposite of what he was really trying to say. It's just my thoughts. Let me know yours. You know, agree to disagree. I actually enjoy stuff like this. Break up the echo chamber a little bit and hopefully bring both sides together. You know, I see all the comments. You know, Jay-Z is a Luciferian. He does this and that. You know, to each their own. You can pick him apart. You could take pictures of him with certain people. You know, that's you. If that's what you want to do, you can totally do that. You can, you know, dedicate your life to, you know, trying to put a label on him. That's fine, but it's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to say that video was just a total, not a big deal. And I think people need to take all this energy and use it for the good. You know, just like liberals, I think they spend way too much time. You kind of, unless you're going to do something with it, if you're just screaming in the comment section about Luciferians and stuff, it's not gonna change that much. So it's just my personal thoughts. You know, spread love, don't hate. Jay-Z, one of the best rappers of all time, and that's how I feel about this. Thank you guys, much love. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America, and God bless the world. I hope that didn't ruffle too many feathers, but I just had to call it like I see it. I was like, wow, there's a lot of gems in there, a lot of manifestation mind. Jay-Z really understands stuff, and you know, that's just my thoughts. We'll talk about other stuff like that later. Maybe we could dive into the Luciferian aspect of it and get into that. But God bless you guys. Hope you have a great day. And I'm going to post my links below if you would like to check them out. As always, email list, dreamrare.com, and donor box. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.